Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Theodoro, you said something earlier that I wanted to make sure I understood. If a company brings in $1 in premium but pays out $1.02 in losses, that's probably a bad thing.
That's right. That's right.
And so the only way that you make that up is by the ROI on your investment. Between the time that you bring it in, the time that you pay it out, you have an opportunity to invest those resources. If you invest them effectively in a good market, then you'll have enough to stay afloat. If you don't have that good market like today's market, where you have a 17% inflationary impact on companies and business, on gas, on all the supplies, it makes it more difficult to get that kind of ROI.
That's right, especially following the low and long period of interest rates when investment income was lower. So the contribution from investment income was depressed and did not contribute enough to bring the combined ratio below 100%.
Correct. Number two, repetitive losses. We just heard about rebuilding. National Flood Insurance Program, 1% of losses that occur are repetitive losses, but they account for about 30% of the payouts of the National Flood Insurance Program. So if you keep building in the same area where there is a disaster after disaster after disaster, the chances are pretty good you're going to pay more out.
That's right. That's why there need to be incentives for better behavior for the National Flood Insurance Program. Now they're trying to disincentivize these repetitive and severely repetitive loss properties by having a 25% increase if you have these repeated events. So send the right signals and people will respond by hardening, by taking preventive measures, by increasing resiliency.
Perhaps sometimes the federal government isn't really the answer to what local communities need to do in making decisions around whether or not to rebuild a property in a place where you've had multiple losses to the same property based on the same basic set of circumstances that come through a community.
That's right. The federal government hasn't had a good history of involvement in insurance. You mentioned the National Flood Insurance Program, which has bled billions, tens of billions of red ink. The crop insurance program also has these subsidies that don't encourage farming of the right crops and in the right areas. The insurance industry is, as you know, and Senator Rounds, is tremendously complex. Simple in principle, but in the execution, there's administration and policy issuance, distribution, actuarial, and a dozen other functions. And the federal government has no business trying to create insurance companies. It's simply not feasible.
Perhaps one of the reasons why we should all thank the good Lord for the McCarran-Ferguson Act of 1945 that made our form of insurance a state-based system of insurance. This structure has produced highly competitive, fair markets all across this country, and frankly, sets a global standard. Is that an accurate statement?
That's right. And the efforts in the past that have followed strains in the insurance market to create a federal backstop or to provide government-subsidized reinsurance have not been successful. They haven't taken off because it's simply not feasible. In 2007, a couple of years after Hurricane Katrina, KRW, Katrina Rita Wilma, Chris Dodd held a similar hearing, and chairman of the economic CEA, Ed Lazier, talked about the ways in which that wouldn't be feasible. Congressman Moskowitz, Charlie Crist, governor of Florida, and there was a Kevin Mahoney bill. A number of bills have been introduced sort of as knee-jerk reaction. Oh, the insurance industry is having strains. Let's send the federal government in to fix it. Doesn't have a history of working then, and it won't have one now.
Sounds like to me you've already answered my first question, which is about the fact that federal taxpayers subsidizing state insurance challenges is not a recipe for long-term success.
That's right. Subsidies and cross-subsidies where the poor subsidize the rich are both bad.
Simple, sounds like to me. Could you speak to why the insurance markets operate at a lag behind the rest of the economy and why we are seeing increased prices now? One of the questions I'm really trying to narrow in on is the important fact that over the last couple of years, we've seen an inflationary impact that we talked about that led to 12 rate increases into that new market where you have 5.25% or higher interest rates to be embedded into an insurance company's model, that costs something.
That's right, and it does take a couple of years before it earns in, because as we've seen with inflation, building material costs rose by 19% in 2021, 8% in 2022. Copper prices, other prices of lumber and metal that's needed in rebuilding homes have gone up. But it takes time because the loss may happen towards the end of the policy period, and then for the repairs are more expensive than before. So it takes 1 or 2 years before those inflationary impacts are fed in. So there's three main drivers of some of the strains: economic inflation, reinsurance cost, and natural catastrophes. I'm glad that you brought up the inflationary factor.
Appreciate it, sir.